My name is Miriam. I'm an economic psychologist. I'm a mom of 3 and I'm a freelance knitwear designer. I'm making patterns for women based on women characters and their quotes because I'm just inspired by other women and their stories I'm inspired by their learnings and the strength that women have, and it just gives me so much more courage to go through my day, and it brings something very special, I think, to my patterns as well. So if you haven't checked them out, maybe you'll find something you like. But today I'm welcoming you to our Chloé Tote Crochet-Along. You've probably seen this bag on my Instagram or via the newsletter, and whatever way led you here, I'm really glad you made it. And I'm happy to go with you on this journey. This is a free crochet along with a free pattern for you because as you can see, I just duped this from an existing designer brand because I really liked the bag and I thought I could make that myself. And I think that's just the beauty of crafting something. But that also means that you cannot duplicate the pattern. Even though it's a free pattern, it's not made for distribution and it's also not allowed to sell your finished products. So with that, I'm just hoping that we're having loads of fun together, and I'm so excited to see all the bags, all the colors, all the different, the different lettering you choose to put on top. I think there's so many ways you can make this pattern your own and not just recreate something that is existing out there already.
Something I always write in my posts is, this is about knitting, this is not about knitting. Now we are crocheting today, so it's a bit different, but it is the same. Because what crafting is about is having fun, doing something with your hands, doing something that's meaningful for yourself or for others, putting thought and energy in it. And that's so valuable. So don't get hung up if your end result is not as perfect maybe as you imagine it, or if you have a little mistake in between. I think that's exactly the beauty of crafting. You are the one to get to decide if you leave the error in or if you go back and correct it. And either or, both is totally fine. And the worth of what you've done is not dependent on its perfection. Believe me, there are not many people out there in the world who can do what you will achieve over the course of the next 2 weeks or whenever you are working this pattern. It's special. You are a rare talent. So don't take away from the uniqueness you are able to create. Be proud of what you can do. And this is kind of the feeling I want you to take throughout this journey and all the patterns that come after and all the patterns you're working on in parallel right now. And I'm so happy you're here, and now let's get started.
So for today, you'll need your yarn and your needle, some drinks, some snacks, some music, everything you need to be comfortable. I'm switching the camera now to a top-down view so you can see my hands and you can follow along.
Before we crochet our bag, let's walk through the construction first so you know exactly the different steps we have made so you don't lose your orientation. We'll start at the bottom by casting on stitches. We'll create this band of treble crochet layers. Then we move along and work the entire netting for the body. All of this is worked in the round already, so you create a long tube. We work on the top band of the bag, which is mirroring the bottom band. And then we're basically already finished with the tubing our body of our bag. What we need to do next is reinforce some stitches to the sides of the bag just to give it some stability and create some neatness so that it looks nice and clean when we finish it. So once we have done that, we will crochet around the border of the entire bag and create the stabilizing factor, but it's also kind of eye-catching, I find, and has just some really interesting visual contrast with this larger gaps over here and then a bit tighter pattern over here. So we end up at the top of the bag, and the next step then for us is to work on the handles. We will crochet and fasten those to the bag within so that it's really sturdy and you're able to actually load your bag and carry some weight in it. The last step is then to build the lettering on top of the bag, and we'll do that with some aluminum wire. I'll show you that in the material list already. It's really important that your wire is not too strong. You want to be able to bend it easily. You might need some additional tools to refine your bending, but I will show you that as well. The last thing is, once we've created the lettering and wound it with paper yarn, we will glue it to the bag, and then we're basically finished. So let's get started, and happy crocheting. We'll make a little slip knot. So what we're doing is create a chain of stitches. We're starting from our crochet chain. We have finished our 1 stitches, and we are now going to start on the first side stitch, and we'll always, as it is common in crochet, exchange this first stitch for chain stitches, and we work 4 of them. This will mirror, basically pretend to be our first double crochet. From here we work into the last stitch of our crochet chain, and we work a double crochet. So you've wrapped your yarn twice, and then we have our first one, and then we work a second double crochet in exactly the same stitch. Wrap the yarn twice, pull it through, and then always pull it through 2, and then we have our second one. So now we're working 1 double stitch into the next chain stitch, and we repeat this pattern. We always work 2 double crochets into 1 chain stitch, and then 1 double crochet in the next. So we have 3 stitches coming out of 2 chain stitches. That's the pattern we will crochet until the end of our chain, and then we'll close to the round, and that will basically finish already our first round of the base pattern. In case you're wondering why my yarn is not smooth anymore but crinkled already, I made a mistake and I had to open up some of my crocheting back again, so that's the reason. But I recommend you to try crumpling your yarn artificially as well before you, like the few handfuls before you actually reach your crochet needle, just to try and see if you like the difference. I know some crocheters like to work rather with a crinkly yarn, and some prefer to work with the very smooth one. I have to say that the yarn is getting a lot smoother and softer if it's crinkled, and it's easier to work the stitches with it. So I don't mind that it's crinkled now. It also does not have any impact on the end result. As you're just starting out with this maybe new type of yarn, just try and see what works best for you. As we progress along, you will see that your fabric starts to curl like this. The reason for that is that we are forcing the fabric to increase here, and the chain stitches are pulling the bottom of our new fabric tight, while the upper part kind of can fan out a little more. So it creates this little rounding here. So while you work, you can always pull a little at the bottom of the stitches. That will help even out the fabric and at the same time press together the top. We will do it similarly later when we press and lightly steam the fabric of our bag, and that will help relax the fiber into a flat surface again. But as you go, you can always, with your fingers, your body heat will help with it as well. With your fingers, stretch and pull the fabric and kind of pinch it the way you actually want to have it set. So now we're continuing like this, and I will meet you at the end of the round. Okay, we have finished the first row and we reached the end. Please make sure now you have 1 stitch at the beginning, then 80 double stitches. Then you have the next one is again your side stitch. Please put a marker into this one, and then you have the same on the other side. And now we reach the end of the round and we join both sides. We always join with the slip knot into our first crochet chain stitches. Like this. Okay, so don't worry about this opening, we will close all of that at a later point in time. Now we're working the second round. This one is easy and intuitive for you. We start again with 3 chain stitches. 1, 2, 3. And next we are working into the back loop of the below stitch. Just another round of double crochets all around. So again, wrapping our yarn twice. This one is already worked. Just work every stitch and then we'll meet each other again when we reach the end of this round. We made it through the first 2 base rounds, and this basically completes your base already. We will now take a minute to steam and lightly press the fabric to get out some of this curving, and with the mesh pattern that follows on top, we will achieve additional tension at the top, so this curve relieves during the process as well. But I want to show you how to steam block your fabric in between, so you can always do that if you have the feeling that somehow your fabric gets too curvy, or it's just not even enough, or it's uncomfortable for you to work with it, because the material also gets a bit softer if you steam block. Then you know how to do that. What you need now are 2 towels, 1 dry towel. I will put that on top of our crochet work, because what is really important is that nothing actually wet touches your paper yarn, because your yarn will otherwise dissolve. And then a really only very lightly wet towel that I put on top, and that we then will steam it with the iron. I will just do that bit by bit, basically holding the fabric in place the way I want it to, and then putting up a dry, and then a piece of my wet cloth. And I'm holding it underneath, and I'm just giving it a bit of a press here. Okay, see, the fabric is now already much smoother. We do that same procedure throughout. Rotate the corners of your bottom cloth so that really nothing wet comes onto your fabric. So you can already see that this looks much better than before. The fabric is much smoother now. The stitches are a bit more smushed together, exactly how we want them to. It really should be a very tight pattern in the bottom. And as I said, you can do this throughout a few rows or rounds. You can do another steam block and you can even that out easily. And with that, we are ready to proceed to the next stage.
Bye bye and see you soon.